Amanda Testa here of Find Your Feminine Fire, and I'm super excited because today I'm going to be interviewing sexuality coach and Jade Egg expert Marianne. Marianne and I met actually through a beautiful program that we're in together. But what I'm so excited to talk to her today because she's got such a beautiful story and doing amazing work for women. So thank you so much for being here. So please, if you would, just take a moment and introduce yourself and yeah.
Yeah, well, first of all, thank you for hosting me. I'm so excited. And yeah, my name is Marianne, and I'm a sexuality coach and Jade Egg specialist. And also I'm, or expert, specialist, same thing. And I also developed Yoni Yoga, which I'm teaching here in Amsterdam. And yeah, you said I have an interesting story. And it's funny because how I got into this work is actually it started a very long time ago when I was traveling, and I started traveling because I was feeling always very insecure and like an introvert, very shy and not good enough, all these things like, I don't belong here. And when you feel like you don't belong here, it's like, it causes almost kind of like a depression when you're like don't feel included in society.
Mm-hmm.
And so I felt this really big insecurity, but because of that and because I felt like I didn't belong, I decided to go and travel to, I guess, find myself or, find my power or whatever it is that I was feeling that I was missing. And one of my travels, I ended up in a very small village in China, and like no tourist, and I knew 4 words in Chinese: toilet, bus station, hello and thank you. That's how I was traveling around. And I was buying some groceries on a local market, and I bought from this really cute looking old lady, very wrinkly, very shiny eyes. And as I walked away, she was shouting to me something in Chinese, which of course I didn't understand what she was saying, but she was telling me like, come back, come back. And she put something in my hands, and then she was like, with her fierce, like, but shiny eyes, saying like, okay, go, go. And like, don't ask me anything. This was her body language telling me. So I was like, okay, walking off. And I looked in my hand, and she gave me this really small stone egg. And it was beautiful. And I was like putting it on my shelf, but it's like oval, so it's like rolling. I didn't know what to do with it or what it was for, but I really felt like she gave me something very special.
Mm-hmm.
And it ended up in my treasure box. And only years and years later, I actually found out that, it was a jade egg that she was giving me. I did a Tantra course then. And this teacher was talking about a jade egg. And when he said jade egg, it was like, lightning hit my brain. I was like, oh my God, that's what this woman in China gave me. And yeah, I mean, I got to realize later, probably she saw in me like this very insecure girl trying to find her womanhood or her strength. And she was like, okay, she needs this egg. And, this is the tool that can actually get you into your power and into feeling empowered. And she could probably just see that in me. And after realizing that it was a jade egg, it still took me many years to actually found, a good way to actually practice the jade egg. I've been reading lots of books. I've been doing courses. But when I found Layla Martin, and I did her pleasure, Jade Pleasure, this is when I really understood the power of the jade egg and how our sexuality is so numbed down in our society that, of course, there is so many women feeling exactly like me, insecure and not knowing who they really are because our sexuality is so repressed. So yeah, receiving that egg was definitely an amazing gift in my life. Yeah.
That is an amazing story. And I think I love that aspect of the jade egg practices and kind of how it used to be passed down from generation to generation. And we've lost so much of that over the years. And so is that kind of what led you to create the Yoni Yoga? Or can you tell me more about what that is and
so the Yoni Yoga
network?
Yeah, the Yoni Yoga I created because I felt like a lot of women feel, the egg is maybe a step too far ahead. So a lot of women know or feel that they want to work with their sexuality. They feel like I'm numb. I don't feel like I can be totally free. And a lot of women, like even in my one-on-one coaching, most of the women say, I just want to feel freedom. I want to feel free in the bed, in my body, in my relationship. So, and I think still the Jade Egg is sometimes one step too far. So I created Yoni Yoga to really make it available for all women. And in the Yoni Yoga, I do very simple practices that we still work really well with our sexuality. So I'm still like teaching them how to squeeze the muscles inside the vagina to get a stronger pelvic floor. But also just how to, by just simply stroking your own body, for example, and touching your own face in a really soft, loving and sensual way, that it can give you so much confidence. And all the women that came so far to my classes, they're like seeing big changes and feeling things are shifting in their life and in their relationships. And it was really interesting because one point when I just started, I had a small group of women that came each week. And after like 5 or 6 weeks, one of the women before the class was starting was like, Marianne, share something with you. And she was like, excited. I'm like, yeah, of course. I'm a bit shy to tell you, but I have to say that even in my sexuality with my partner, I feel so much has changed. And she did only 5 weeks, but it was like she felt more sensations. She could really dive more deeper in her pleasure. She could let herself be more free. And for her, that was like huge transformation. So that's, I guess, really amazing to make it, available for a lot of women. Yeah, because also it's not really like very explicitly focused on sexuality, but more like it's a type of yoga and you don't have to insert an egg. So you can just come, wear your yoga pants and just, like you're going to a normal yoga class, but it's more specifically for using your sexuality to create more power in your body, more confidence, more aliveness, more joy. And it's working. It's amazing.
That's beautiful. I know you were maybe exploring some avenues to bring that online, so we'll have to be following you for that.
Yes. Definitely, yeah.
And I love too just what a varied background you have of all the different things you've studied, and like really kind of tuning in to how to merge all of your backgrounds, everything from your master's in social psychology and yoga and Taoism and everything. So what do you feel like? I know you've studied so many different things, and so I find that so fascinating. What do you feel is kind of some of the most important things that you're bringing into your work that you really...
I think, like you said, I think it's at this point, it's really all coming together. And in the past, I didn't really know like what I needed to do in life. Like I felt like I have a mission, but I'm not sure what it is. So when I was very young, you need to choose what are you going to study. And I was like, I don't know. I know that I need to work with people. That's very broad. I know I need to help people, but I'm not the one that's going to give them medicine. This is what I knew, like 100% sure. But what it was that I was going to do, I didn't know. And then you need to pick something. So I picked creative therapy because at least it was not related to medicine, and it was something more like, creative. That sounded more like me, but it was still not me. So after I went traveling, I started learning Reiki and doing yoga and doing space clearing and personal clearing, where you work with a lot of energy. So I did a lot of energy work as well. And then I realized I don't want to, because I started to work in an old people home, taking care of older people, which I did for 8 years. And it was amazing also to, even now, the work that I'm doing now, I learned so much from working with these people. But I realized this is not what I came here for. So I said, I need to study something else. So I studied social psychology, and even the social psychology, like to understand, the group dynamics in partnerships. And also I got a lot of like neuroscience as a part of my psychology study. So all these elements really fit to what I'm doing now, because for sexuality, you have relationships. So all these dynamics that I studied in my social psychology, they come back again in what I'm doing now. And also the neuroscience, because the neuroscience is really letting us know like how our unconscious patterns, how our primal brain, our limbic brain is so like intertwined with our sexuality. And like that's why our sexuality is such a key element in wanting change in our lives and wanting our relationships to work. Because if you work only on a cortical level, it's not going to change so deep. So I think everything I did is like coming together, because also the energy part, it's like, yeah, I mean, sexuality, you cannot really hold it. It's something, you know, ungraspable.
Yes.
So that's
Right.
it's energy.
Yes.
So it makes total sense that everything I studied is like, yeah, brought me to this place. So it makes, yeah, now when I look back, it makes total sense how I walked my path and how I came here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I love how you said that, you know, that our limbic system and our subconscious is so intertwined with our sexuality, and that I really wanted to touch on that today, and you know why that is such an important piece, and like really addressing your sexuality is so important for transformation. And I'd be curious to kind of hear a little bit about your experience and how you feel like your life has changed since you started doing this type of work.
Yeah. Well, first of all, I actually, when I started, I knew there was something missing in my life, but I didn't really realize like how numb I was sexually. And yeah, lacking this freedom. Like now, the clients that I'm coaching, they actually openly say like, I want to experience freedom in the bedroom and in my body. But I didn't even realize that that's what I was missing. And I really feel like that this numbness is also like, because it's like sitting, there's a layer sitting on top of you. So to get to where you want to go, you need to go through these layers. And our sexuality, because it's such a primal core energy in our body, like it's basically, I almost want to say, our life force. So if you like block that, you get numb, you get depressed, you get tired, you get like, you know, sometimes you see people and they're like, their face is like gray and wrinkly and like, you know, there's no aliveness in their body. And I think our sexuality is really like the key to really turn to that joy and that happiness and that pleasure that we're all looking for. Because I really also feel like, you know, we're all, even if you buy a new car or if you get things like, you know, you want new clothes or you want a new lover or you want, it's because you want something. You're seeking happiness, or you're seeking joy, or you're seeking adventure, or you're seeking, but in the end, like really what I feel is the end result of all those things is like pleasure. Like it comes down to pleasure or love, but it's like, to me, it's almost all the same thing. And when you work with your sexuality, you can really dive into that point and reach to a level that you can, take these layers off that keep you from that. And when you can really feel and fill you up from the inside out, instead of needing to buy a car or a book or finding a new partner, like if you can really feel this pleasure and this love, that enjoyment, that aliveness in your own body, I mean, that's, I guess, a key to what a lot of people are looking for. Yeah. And I guess because also there's so much conditioning from our society, from our culture, from our religion, that I mean, the sexuality part, you're not allowed to touch upon. And I think it's very important that we are going to touch upon it now, because I feel like the time is right and people are missing such a big part. And I feel this is the part that we're missing.
Yeah.
And if we all like are able to really tap into a healthy sexuality and experience that freedom in our body and in our life, it has an effect on our relationship, on how you're doing your business, on how you're approaching other people, how you stand in line in the supermarket. you know, how you approach the teacher of your children, it affects everything. And I mean, then you can have this ripple effect, and if you look big picture, it can actually even create world peace.
I love that. I do. And I think that's one of the things I love so much about this interview series. And because I do know that this is a subject that we're not really ever encouraged to learn more about coming along,
Yeah.
or, it's been, you don't talk about it enough. And so that's kind of what I love about bringing this conversation out, is because it can be so transformational. And to, hear from women who have been on this journey. And, when you have that, something's missing, you don't know what it is, you're depressed, you're trying all the things, nothing seems to work. I think that you just hit the nail on the head with why that numbness happens. And I love how you describe that so beautifully.
Yeah. And also it's interesting, like how I was just coming into my mind, like how little girls, for example, because I was giving a Jade Egg workshop on Saturday, and I was asking, well, this was not little girls, they were grown-up women, but I was asking them as part of the workshop, like, what did you call your genitals when you grew up? And I had 7 women in the workshop, and only one said, we called it pussy. And the rest said, oh, no name. Yeah, maybe pee hole. Like if you translate it, it could be something like pee hole. But yeah, almost all of them said like, no, that was not really a name. And by not even knowing, your own body parts, like it's crazy if you say, I don't know that my hand is called a hand. Like it's so obvious that my hand is called a hand. But how many women don't even know what their body parts are really called, or like which name is which body part? Because many women say, oh, it's my vagina, but your vagina is inside and your vulva is outside, and many women don't even know that that's different body parts, that your vulva is your clitoris, the outer lips, the inner lips, and the opening, and then the inside canal is actually the vagina. So you cannot call this, it's like I call my hand my fingers. No, these are my fingers, and this is my whole hand. So it's interesting that, women don't know this. And I think that's also taking a lot of the power out of being a woman, if you don't even know how to call your body parts, or how to like even feel comfortable calling your body parts. Because if you're not feeling comfortable with naming your own body parts, then how can you be comfortable in your sexuality? It's like crazy in a way.
Yeah.
And this is the society that we grow up in and live in. And I really feel like, it's time that we, let little girls grow up standing in their power and knowing what their body is about. How awesome can that be when you grow up and you know exactly that you have a cervix, and how, where it's located, and actually that you can also experience orgasms there, like,
Yeah. Yes. And I do. And I have a 5-year-old daughter. So I really see how important it is. And since day one, we always have taught her proper anatomy, and we always talk about everything, And if you have a little kid, like many of the people watching I know do, they follow you everywhere. So, and she follows me in the bathroom. I used to joke that she was my bathroom concierge. Like getting everything I need in there. Curious, like when I'm having my period, what's going on? So I like tell her the whole story in an age appropriate way, right? But just so she knows what's happening, and not like it's something to be ashamed of, not like it's something to be embarrassed about. It's just a normal, natural thing, and it's a beautiful part of being a woman.
Yeah, and it's also interesting. Like I gave 1 month ago, I gave a workshop in Turkey. And then one of the Turkish ladies said to me, like, oh, I have a daughter, and she's really enjoying touching herself. So she was touching, or she was washing her daughter. I think she was like 3 years old, 4 years old. So then you still shower your girl. So she was like rubbing her with soap on her belly, and like, like a little bit lower. So she was almost touching her vulva. And she was telling her mother, like, oh, it feels so nice. I love it. And then she didn't know what to do. And her, I think she said, the one that's guiding you and giving you like tips on how to raise your children. I don't know how you call it in English.
Like a parenting coach or something?
Something like this. So she told her that you need to distract her then. So you need to bring the attention, for example, to her feet, and say, oh, but you also have nice feelings in your feet. Which is crazy, because the little girl, she knows that her feet are, of course, there's also pleasure there, but she really enjoyed the pleasure right there at her vulva. She knew that my pleasure is located there. So it's so important to tell the little girl also that it's great that you feel that pleasure, and that's just for you. And yes, like, don't maybe go into school and pleasure yourself while you're, being in the school, but to teach the little girls that it's okay to touch there and to feel that pleasure, but, to do that in your own space, in your bed, and that it's just for you. But it's, still crazy to feel also like there is still so much taboo and on even how to interact with your daughter, with your little girl, on how do you direct them, like, the women are lacking this part also.
Yes.
Because we've been so shamed for our pleasure. So now we want to, step into our own power. But at the same time, we're still like trying to fight and find a way to like, how do I guide in my daughter? And that's, it's interesting how the path is like unfolding and moving.
Mm-hmm. I know, and people ask me about that a lot. I've actually I've not found a lot of good resources around that. So I say just, you got to kind of touch into what feels good and what feels aligned for you, and just try to be as positive as you can.
Yes.
I just think it's so funny too, because I think, a lot of times I remember when my daughter, she was really little, but you could tell when they figure out where the pleasure coming from. And I went to the doctor because I was like, is this normal? I mean, I'm sure it is, but I didn't know. This was before, she was probably in diapers still, and they're like, oh yeah, they know. And I just loved my doctor's attitude. She was not like shaming about it or not trying to tell her no. Or I like that attitude of that's a beautiful thing, right? Embrace it, enjoy it. Yay.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. I mean, the clitoris has like 8,000 nerve endings just for pleasure. Like, how awesome is that? So yes, we should discover it and play with it and enjoy it for sure.
And so I know you work a lot with the Jade Egg, but I'd be curious, kind of in all that you've learned, what's been one of your number one favorite tools or practices maybe, or, something that you've really found that has been one of your most favorite things that you...
Well, yeah, Jade Egg is definitely a favorite one, because it definitely is a tool that is very, how do you say that? Like, it really helps to focus your awareness, to focus bring your focus to your body parts. And especially because we've not been naming our body parts, and we've like felt so numb, or like there's so many layers on top of it. So I really feel like the Jade Egg is helping to, bring that focus, because my other favorite tool is like focus, to really bring your energy and your awareness to your own body parts, and to like, inside, for example, most women know how to orgasm from their clitoris, but to orgasm vagina internally inside a vagina, or even from the clitoris, it's very hard to sometimes locate where do you go, like where do you find your cervix, or how do you know like where to go? And with the Jade Egg, you can bring that focus there. But also, even if you would not use the Jade Egg, just to imagine and bring your awareness, like this visualization of and bringing energy there and moving this energy around is creating a lot. And then breath is definitely helping to that, because I realized when I was so numb, I was like holding my jaws all the time, very tight, not breathing. And I was experiencing pain, and I was like, I couldn't really like go into surrender. And the moment I realized that, when you relax your jaw, and even then, even if I was just relaxing my jaw and not properly breathing, already there is less pain. But when you add breathing to it, like breathing, and I mean, when I say breathing, it's like, like deep out breaths, like it changes something. It allows to turn this pain into pleasure, because a lot of time underneath the pain, there is like a explosion, like a bomb, like a pressure of like pleasure wanting to come out. And the focus, the breathing, and the sounding is definitely helping to tune into that. And the Jade Egg is amazing to really specifically work with the areas and to bring the sensation more alive and to bring that focus deeper into the vagina, for example.
Yeah, I love that. Thank you for sharing that. And I think those are such powerful tools that you just mentioned. And even just like the relaxing of the jaw. It's funny because it reminds me, I did hypno babies with my daughter, which is kind of like a hypnosis birthing. But one of the things that they tell you, which now looking back, I wasn't doing this work then, so it's not all connected, but now, it all makes sense. Like one of the things you really do is you just stay relaxed in your jaw and your mouth, and you really focus on opening and like opening and relaxing, right? Which so plays into releasing that
Yeah,
kind of thing.
yeah. It's funny because when I gave birth, I was in hospital and they were like telling me, because I was doing hypnobirthing too, but I didn't have a doula next to me, and the nurses in the hospital, they didn't know anything about it, so they were like, "Make yourself angry," and I was like, "I don't want to go like." I was trying to open, but they didn't let me. They didn't have a clue, like like make yourself angry. But yeah, if you make yourself angry, like, you make everything tight and contract it even more. So it's interesting how even there, there is another field of like how the sexuality can make such a transformation if women only would like relax and open their jaws. Yeah.
Right. Oh, that's a whole nother 3-hour conversation.
Yeah.
Well, I'd love to kind of wrap up with, how do you see the future for women?
I see the future very bright, very alive and full of freedom. And I really think like if all the women that are slowly setting steps now to transform their sexuality and take these layers of numbness off and step into empowering and stepping into their freedom, I think it's like it's going to cause also a ripple effect. Like, I don't know how it's called, like the 12th monkey or the 10th monkey effect. That you have this group of monkeys on one island and they're learning how to wash their food. And then independently of that group, because they came to a certain threshold, the other group of monkeys that didn't have any contact with this group of monkeys also started doing it. So if this psychological thing, this scientific thing that they had discovered there, this theory or whatever it's called, if that's possible, then I feel like also with us women, like if we reach a certain threshold of women reaching their freedom, stepping into their sexual empowerment, it's going to have an effect on all the other women on this planet. And I really feel like, it can go fast. It can grow really fast. And it's amazing to see women standing in their power and the aliveness and the light that comes out of their face and their eyes. Like even when I look at you, this sparks from your eyes. It's just amazing to see a woman like that. And I wish every woman could be like that. So that's definitely, my drive, my aim, what I want to create in this world, to see all these women shining and alive and full of power and in their freedom.
Oh, that's so beautiful. Thank you so much. And thank you for all the amazing work that you're doing. You're already doing it. And I wanted to let everyone know where they can find you. So I'm going to pop up her website here. And I know that's kind of hard to read, but I will share it. I'm trying to make the font bigger, but I don't know how.
I think I can read it. Yeah.
And will you pronounce your last name for me one more time?
Marianne van Katwijk.
I love your beautiful accent. So she's coming to us live from Amsterdam, which is why we switched the time for today. So I really appreciate you making it work. I know with our time schedules, it's been hard to try to schedule this, but I'm so glad I got to talk to you. And
yes, me too. It was really lovely to see you and to talk to you.
And I am grateful for all the beautiful wisdom that you shared today. And is there anything else that you'd like to add before we go?
A big hug and a kiss.
Yes. Thank you so much. And again, you can find Marianne online, and we also I'll make sure to put all that information in the notes so you can follow her on social media and online.
Yeah, I have my YouTube channel, so you can also check out the videos. Yes, I will send that to you so you can add that too.
I will add the she does beautiful videos too. So
Thank you.
yay. Well, thank you so much for being here again. And ladies, thank you so much for watching. And if you have questions, please pop them in the comments because I always go back through and either one of us will answer the questions. So please tune in and share this with any other woman who you think could benefit from this knowledge. Because as we just said, the more women that we can empower on this journey,
Definitely.
the more it's going to benefit every woman in the world. So thank you all.
And the men as well, because
that is so true. It's the ripple and the kids and everyone.
Definitely.